At first glance, this story seems like just another crime, of which there are countless around the world. However, this case is unique not only for its outcome but also for the police dashcam footage that captured key moments. For Catherine Radcliffe, it was a tradition to call her mother every morning before work to discuss local news. But January 30, 2002, became a special day because she couldn't reach her parents. Throughout the day, Catherine tried several times to contact them, but all calls went unanswered. This seriously worried her, and she left work early to check on them personally. As she approached her parents' house, her anxiety grew. Her worst fears were confirmed when she saw their car parked outside and the back door wide open. Entering the house, Catherine was speechless. Her father lay on the floor in a pool of blood. Moving further into the bedroom, she found her mother, also dead. Hoping to save them, Catherine tried to call an ambulance, but the phone was dead, someone had cut the line. She had to run to the neighbors to call for help. Catherine's father had been shot 3 times, with one fatal shot to the head. Her mother was killed in a similar manner. Signs of torture were found on their bodies, and the house was ransacked, as if the criminals were searching for something. Initially, the police assumed it was a robbery, but $87,000 hidden in the bathroom remained untouched. Ballistic analysis showed that Catherine's parents had been shot with different guns, suggesting 2 attackers. Footprints in the backyard led to tire tracks, but these were the only clues. The lack of stolen money pointed to a personal motive. The only person with such a motive was Catherine's ex-boyfriend. 10 years earlier, after their breakup, he had kidnapped her, subjected her to torture and abuse. She managed to escape, and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. He had vowed revenge, but on the day of the murder, he was still behind bars. The investigation hit a dead end. Now, let's fast forward a few days to the story of Butch Boyer. On the evening of February 17, 2002, 54-year-old Butch was helping his 12-year-old son, Brad, get ready for school. Butch was a single father who did everything for his son. Around 10 p.m., there was a knock at the door. It was strange, as they weren't expecting anyone. Opening the door, Butch saw a police officer who presented a warrant for his arrest on suspicion of drug possession. Butch denied everything but didn't resist. He asked the officers to consider that his minor son was home alone. In response, one of the officers handcuffed Brad and put him in the car next to his father. Butch began to suspect that these weren't real police officers, but it was too late. The car drove past the police station and headed out of town. In a deserted area, the criminals began interrogating Butch about money. Under pressure, he admitted to having $40,000 at home. They returned to the house, where Butch showed them the hiding spot. He begged them to at least spare his son, but the criminals put them back in the car and drove away. At the site, the criminals ordered Butch and Brad out of the car. They stopped at 2 dugout pits, graves for the father and son. One of the robbers ordered Butch to turn his back, then slit his throat. This happened in front of Brad, who rushed to his father but was shot 3 times in the head. The criminals threw the bodies into the pits and left. However, they didn't account for Butch still being alive. Bleeding profusely, he crawled out of the pit and dug up his son, but the boy was already dead. Holding his throat, Butch made it to the highway, where a passing driver noticed him. The driver called an ambulance and the police. Butch refused to leave until he was sure his son's body had been found. Only after medics convinced him did he agree to be hospitalized. Butch managed to tell the police that the criminals were driving a white Ford Victoria and that they had keys to his house. Half an hour later, such a car was stopped near Butch's home. Behind the wheel was 43-year-old Michael Kurowa. Inside the car, they found handcuffs, a police uniform, $20,000, and blood. Michael was arrested but denied any wrongdoing, confident there were no witnesses. However, during the interrogation, the police informed him that Butch had survived. Michael realized his situation was dire and tried to negotiate, offering to turn in drug dealers in exchange for leniency. The second robber, Jamie Brooks, was arrested while trying to burn the police uniform. Unlike Michael, Jamie confessed immediately. He revealed that Michael had forced him to participate in the crime, blackmailing him with bail. However, it was Jamie who shot Brad. He also confessed that they had killed Catherine's parents 2 weeks earlier. Jamie had worked for them and knew there was money in the house, but they hadn't found it then. The third accomplice was 28-year-old James Harry. Michael never admitted guilt, but Butch's blood on his clothes spoke for itself. Jamie was sentenced to death. Michael also received the death penalty, and James was given a life sentence. This story could have had more victims if not for the courage and will to live of Butch Boyer. His thirst for justice and revenge for his son helped solve the crime and stop the criminals.